Chapter 1 remakes were heralded as the future of Fortnite when UEFN launched in March, but the reality turned out to be quite different. So, what happened to Atlas OG Battle Royale and Reboot Royale? I did some research and I took a deep dive retrospective into both. In March 2023, the Fortnite community was hyped. Chapter 4 Season 2 had just launched for Battle Royale, and Creative was teasing that something big was coming. Unreal. The Unreal editor for Fortnite, or Creative 2.0, is the full Unreal Engine 5 toolset made available for Fortnite creators to build and share their own experiences in. UEFN is truly a game changer for creators, allowing for things once thought impossible to make in Fortnite to be made, and effectively making the creator's imagination, and the Fortnite creative memory, the limit. But in the weeks leading up to the launch of UEFN, rumours were beginning to circulate that it would be possible to recreate the entire original Chapter 1 island in creative mode. In fact, it had already been done. Back in 2021, the boy Dilly released Athena Royale, the most faithful adaptation to date, made entirely within the legacy creative toolset. Despite the clear limitations of creative, this remake attracted a ton of attention from a lot of channels and streamers who were bored of current Fortnite. But now in 2023, things are different. On March 22nd, less than an hour after the launch of UEFN, the team Atlas Creative put out a tweet stating, "Welcome to the future of Fortnite." Beyond the irony of the future of Fortnite starting with a remake of a map that was replaced 4 years ago, people were hyped. A few hours later, they shared the first images of what they called Atlas OG Battle Royale, showing off their remakes of Loot Lake, Shifty Shafts, Anarchy Acres, and everyone's favourite, Tilted Towers. The hype was through the roof. The next day, Atlas OG Battle Royale officially launched in beta. This was huge! Except for one small detail. In their announcement tweet, they stated that they had to cut some of the map details due to memory issues. Yeah, part of the map wouldn't be there on launch. People pretty quickly started to notice that their favourite drop spots were missing. These were mostly minor details like some destroyed houses near the motel or starry suburbs, but the big one was this: no prison. You know, the iconic prison POI? Yeah, entirely absent. In fact, today, 4 months after launch, it's still not there. You can see where it's meant to be, but there's no sign of the prison that so many players loved. Not great. Not only that, but there were bugs. Lots of bugs. Missing textures, missing worlds, polluted waters, broken minimap, and what happened to Moisty Maya? Now, to be fair to the Atlas team, not all of these bugs were in their control. The missing textures were the result of UEFN downloads breaking when performance mode is enabled, and the minimap is another UEFN bug that is still around to this day. But then stranger inconsistencies started to appear. Notice something wrong about the graphics? Yeah, they're not very OG at all. In fact, they're just the Chapter 4 graphics, as the team had not created a custom time of day manager, which led to the map not really feeling like Chapter 1. There was also the inclusion of sprinting, sliding and mantling, all Chapter 3 movement additions that were never present in this older version. Another issue pretty quickly arose. Due to memory limitations, the team had to cut floor loot and supply drops. With the loot pool being 100% accurate, this meant that shotguns would not spawn, as shotguns did not spawn in chests in Chapter 1 Season 3, only in floor loot, meaning the game just didn't have shotguns on launch. Now, the Atlas team did pretty quickly put out a patch to add the pump shotgun to the chest loot pool, and they held a community vote on whether they should disable the Chapter 3 movement mechanics or not. The community voted that they should. Just 2 days after launch, the team launched Update 1.3. The update included a large number of quality of life changes, including upping the player count from 30 to 50, adding back floor loot, fixing bugs, and not removing the Chapter 3 movement options. Yeah, another Fortnite bug emerged. With sprinting and mantling disabled, there was a weird bug where the game would try and allow them anyway, but fail to execute them properly because they were disabled, resulting in some truly strange glitches. The team also announced that they were working on bringing Chapter 1 lighting into the map in the next week, which I guess they never got around to finishing, as it's still not here today. Oh, and you best believe that was not the end of the bugs. Players were reporting that the game just didn't start sometimes, which was reportedly a coding bug, and thanks to UEFN minimaps being broken, it was impossible to determine where the storm was and where it was going. It probably also didn't help that the images they used to promote these updates featured locations not actually in the game. Whoops. Another 2 days later, the team pushed another update to fix the movement mechanics and various other issues, and began testing full 100-player lobbies. Previously, server instability issues had prevented full lobbies from being viable. They also reported that they are indeed still working on OG graphics. Still, this is looking promising. The team had been set back by a number of issues outside of their control, which is not fair on them, but they're working on improving the gameplay experience, so the future looks bright. Oh, they stopped posting to the account the next day. Just 1 week after launch, the team went radio silent, and Atlas Creative has not publicly acknowledged Atlas OG Battle Royale since. Atlas Creative might have forgotten about their OG Battle Royale, but the people haven't. But what is Bob Pants McSquirtle here talking about? You see, UEFN and Creative Toolset experiences can be monetized, originally through the supporter creator system and now through a custom island engagement payout system. But Atlas OG Battle Royale was subject to different circumstances. You see, the day after UEFN launched, Epic Games published a blog post titled "Updating Terms to Enable Publishing Versions of Battle Royale Chapter 1 Islands," in which they clarified that the Fortnite islands Athena, Apollo, and Artemis are their legal property, and to recreate them in UEFN would be a violation of copyright laws. However, in acknowledgement of the community's enthusiasm towards Chapter 1's return, they made an exception to the remakes of Chapter 1's Athena Island. But such remakes could not be eligible for monetization through the engagement payout system. Atlas would not be making any money from their work on Atlas OG Battle Royale, which was probably quite the demotivator. So that's where the story ends for Atlas OG Battle Royale. They pushed out one small update near the end of March to add the egg launcher item in for Easter, and then the updates stopped. But that's not where the story of the OG Fortnite remakes ends, because there is another. Reboot Royale. Reboot Royale is another remake, this one made by the boy Dilly himself, along with a small team of other creators. On UEFN launch day, the Reboot Royale Twitter account shared the first in-game screenshots from the map, and from the images they shared, it actually looked like Chapter 1. The graphics and lighting were on point. It seemed like they would be the ones to get it right. The day after Atlas launched and all of its inconsistencies were exposed, the Reboot team shared the image of the full map, and it looked exactly like Chapter 1 Season 3's map. The next day, the map finally launched, and to say people loved it would be an understatement. People dropped in and shared screenshots all over the internet, and they looked like they were ripped straight out of early 2018 Fortnite. Reboot even secured a content partnership with Lachlan's Team Power to bring more attention to the map. OG Fortnite was back, and better than ever. And then the creative jank issue started. People were falling under the map, the lighting would randomly forget to exist, missing textures again, there were minor building mistakes, and truly the worst render distance anyone had ever seen. Yet the main issue of the reboot on launch was the lack of HLODs. HLODs, or hierarchical level of details, is basically where an object is rendered in lower quality the further it is from the player. But this system requires some setting up in UEFN, and it can be quite tricky to get right. A few hours after the launch, the team had already pushed a patch to fix some of the issues, including removing the battle bus temporarily as it was a little bit buggy. The next day, they launched another update to fix more issues, including the same sprinting bug that affected Atlas. The day after that, they launched another update to fix the render distance and slow the speed of the storm, which was not properly optimized for such a large map beforehand. However, the storm effects were Chapter 1 accurate rather than using the Chapter 4 effects like Atlas, which just added more to the map's incredible immersion. The team was even adding new weapons to the loot pool by just 5 days in, adding the heavy shotgun. The heavy shotgun has played differently since it was reworked in Chapter 3 Season 1, however a few days after its addition, it was replaced by the correct Chapter 1 version, which is indeed still hiding away in the files. 5 days after launch, a custom UI element was coded and added that shows players their distance from the safe zone, or if they are in it. There's a workaround to the storm's location not appearing on the map. At this point, there are still issues, but the team is still working hard and pushing out constant updates. At this point, Atlas OG Battle Royale had already been abandoned. Another content update was released at the start of April to add the egg launcher for Easter, followed later the same day by a patch that fixed a major visual glitch involving grass blades appearing black. This update also replaced the creative chests with Chapter 4 chests, modified with first drop custom loot rather than the Chapter 4 loot. This fixed a creative mode issue that has been around for a while, where creative chests take around 4 seconds to open instead of just 1. Another update was released a few days later to add random battle bus paths and allow players to drop out of the bus wherever they want, along with adding randomly generated loot llamas. But don't worry, these are the original static version, not the freaky version from Chapter 2 that runs away from you. By mid-April, the team was still working hard to release regular patches, including the addition of Chapter 1 ambient sound effects and the long-awaited addition of supply drops. On April 21st, Epic enabled XP gain on all UEFN islands, which applied to both Reboot Royale and Atlas OG Battle Royale, although Atlas had gone radio silent by this time, so only Reboot fans were made aware of this addition. Exactly 1 month after the launch of UEFN, Reboot Royale's final patch to date was launched, which changed the appearance of the background mountains from the pre-season 1 to that iconic huge mountain that was added in late Season 3. However, this update also made the lighting less accurate, as the team had to recreate it from scratch because the official sky used beforehand was blacklisted by Epic Games in April. And then radio silence. Again. Yeah, Reboot Royale went completely silent too, and the account has been inactive since April. So what happened to Reboot Royale? Well, good news. I've done a little digging and I found some updates straight from the official Reboot Royale Discord server. On July 9th, the boy Dilly made a statement that the team has been prioritizing Reboot Royale less due to Epic Games continually making their jobs harder with each new Fortnite update. He also explained the reason why Atlas had better render distance was because they used Unreal Engine's built-in HLOD builder, whereas Reboot used Fortnite's own HLOD system from 2018, which while more hardware accurate, hasn't been updated and is therefore more prone to breakage with new systems. Finally, Dilly stated that the Reboot Royale team are indeed working on something new, but they are not yet ready to announce it, and they had to first deal with landscapes breaking after Fortnite's Chapter 4 Season 3 update at the start of June, which obviously set things back. He gives an estimate of 3 weeks, or the end of July, as to when they might be ready to announce what they're up to. So the future looks bright for Reboot Royale, but where do the two maps sit now? Just 1 month after launch, and the two were already down to just hundreds of concurrent players at any time, and 2 months after that, Reboot Royale sits with just a handful of players at any time. There aren't even enough players to start a match currently, leaving the map in a constant downward spiral where it is destined to die. Meanwhile, Atlas OG Battle Royale seems to have come out on top, pretty consistently seeing a couple thousand players at once, as it stays featured in Discovery's various UEFN themed tabs on a pretty consistent basis. As for the future of Fortnite, well, obviously it didn't end up being either of these two. In fact, it ended up being something completely different and very strange. Only Up Fortnite, a player-made adaptation of the video game Only Up. Atlas OG Battle Royale and Reboot Royale both promised to be the future of Fortnite, but pretty quickly ended up being abandoned, largely as a result of Epic's decisions that harms the creators, such as cutting off monetization on these maps and the blacklisting of the effects they needed like the sky, and also Fortnite updates continuously breaking creator tools such as the heralded. It all comes down to the creative jank. Something else to consider is that these aren't new maps. Without consistent new updates adding exciting new features, there wasn't really much to keep people coming back beyond the nostalgia factor, especially when in comparison to Battle Royale Chapter 4, these maps are pretty buggy. The old map is one thing, but what people really need is the resources to have fun on this map. Without the additions post Chapter 1 Season 3, such as shopping carts, and the absence of Chapter 1 items that have been wiped from the files entirely, such as the guided missile launcher, the experience just isn't the same anymore. Still, maybe we'll see the ultimate comeback story from Reboot Royale, and maybe the longevity of Atlas OG Battle Royale's player count will inspire its creators to continue developing even in spite of the loss of monetization. Things seem pretty bleak right now, but as with all things Fortnite, the future is bright, and more importantly, the future is unreal.